अहिले हामी बाँकुराको घटमुरामा छौँ र लगभग हामी दिउँसोको 2 बजेदेखि हिँडेको र अब अहिले हामी माराकोटमा जाँदैछौँ 3 घन्टा लाग्छ रातिको 8 बजिसक्यो पानी कन्टिन्यू परिरहेछ र यति धेरै भारी छ यति धेरै किताबहरू छ कि फेरि यसलाई डिभाइड गरेर ब्रेक डाउन गरेर चाहिँ हामीले 5 जना मान्छेलाई बोलाइसकेका छौँ अब हामी 10 जना बढिया भएर चाहिँ अब हामी सबै किताबहरू लिएर जाँदैछौँ होपफुली हामी पुग्छौँ होला रातिको 10-11 बजेसम्म
People often ask us why we do what we do. To be honest, we too were seeking for answers in the mountains.
This is us, Jasper and I. We met in 2016 soon after the earthquake in Nepal and started a non-profit called One Youth to help the children and schools in need across rural Nepal. We build computer labs, libraries and support children with educational resources.
I find it difficult to believe that 5 years have gone by since Rashmita and I met. But then when we think about it, there have been so many schools, so many people we've met, so many children, so many computers, books, notebooks and memories. And then again, we feel that it's not enough. Our goal was simple, to help the children in need across rural schools of Nepal, and fulfilling that goal has been our motive ever since. That very motive led us into filmmaking, traveling and starting multiple ventures that generate funds to fuel our goals.
People have often asked us why we do what we do. And the truth is, we didn't really know the answer to this ourselves. However, after helping more than 5,000 children in 18 schools, we were about to find out as we decided to head out on our most ambitious project yet. Taking a journey of a year, helping 3,000 children in 13 schools of remote Far West Nepal, while filming people, places, culture and education along the way.
We started with 4 villages in the first phase. We chose the most remote of the schools and called volunteers to help us in book collection and fundraising. When everything was ready, we packed and headed towards our destination.
of hard work paid off as we distributed stationery to the children and saw the joy in their eyes.
We worked throughout the day setting up a library and computer lab, and in the evening we settled in the small yet comfortable houses for music, dance and dinner. One by one, we went to 5 different schools in the span of a month. The project took us to some of the remotest regions in Far West Nepal. As exciting as it was, we went over our budget as we did not calculate for the extra days and expensive transportation to get from one location to the other, but we knew that we would be fine.
We came back home and immediately started to plan for phase 2, which included 3 different schools. We repeated the same process as always. We called in volunteers to collect books, we asked our friends and family for donations, but to our surprise, we could not raise as much money as we did in our first phase and found ourselves with no volunteers to help us this time. But somehow we pulled through.
अहिले हामी बाँकुराको घटमुरामा छौँ र लगभग हामी दिउँसोको 2 बजेदेखि हिँडेको र अब अहिले हामी माराकोटमा जाँदैछौँ 3 घण्टा लाग्छ रातिको 8 बजिसक्यो पानी कन्टिन्यू परिरहेछ र यति धेरै भारी छ यति धेरै किताबहरु छ
When I was 12 years old, I had no educational materials for my studies because my family could not afford them. One day, my teacher asked me why I was in school without a notebook and a pencil. When I had no answer, she made me stand up on the desk in front of my friends. Everyone in the class laughed and I felt embarrassed for the entire class period. The following day, I lied to my mother saying that I was sick and I locked myself inside the room and cried. I wanted to be in school, but I felt too ashamed to go. The next day, I went to school and waited till after the last period was over. When everyone had left, I went through all the classrooms and collected the pencils, erasers, and old sheets of paper which had been left behind by my friends. That evening, I scratched the color off of the pencils and wrote my own name on them. I erased all the text from the used papers and sewed them together to make new ones. I kept on doing this for the rest of my school years.
तिमीले पेन चलाउँछ ल पेन तिमीले पेन चलाउँछ कि पेन्सिल
As I got to know Jasper, I learned that he went through much of the same experiences I had as a child, but only a few miles away.
I remember how difficult it was for my parents to pay my school fees, let alone afford educational materials. I used to stand in long queues of needy children to receive a bag and stationery donated by some organization. I also remember that there was a library close to where we lived. I used to spend my Saturdays there. Apart from all the books, there was also a computer that one had to pay 5 rupees an hour to use, which I never dared to ask my parents for, as I knew it was a big amount for us to spend. As I never had the money to pay the 5 rupees, I stayed beside those using the computer, watching and learning. One school after another, we started to realize that our journey of education has always been about our childhood. We were trying to fill a void that poverty left in us by helping one child at a time.
As we continued with phase 2, each school that we went to became more and more rural, and so grew our efforts to reach them. Weather, funds, our health, and other factors were all against us. Despite everything, we knew we had to finish the project no matter what.
रश्मिता कतिको टायर्ड छ
एकदम बिरामी भएको छ एकातिर
के भएछ तिमीलाई
टन्सिल त्यही त हो नि हिमाल पहाडको पानी फेक्न नसकेपछि टन्सिल भएको छ टन्सिल भइसकेपछि ज्वरो आउँछ तिमीलाई नै खोकी लागेको छ यसपालिको ट्रिप अलिकति टफ छ लम्बिएको छ पानी कन्टिन्यू पर्यो भने अलिकति समस्या पर्छ के भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो बट हामी एकदम फुल अन कोसिस गर्छौँ जानलाई यहाँसम्म आइसकेपछि त एटलिस्ट एउटा त सक्सेस बनाउनु पर्यो नि
आज घाम लागेछ
आज घाम लाग्छ पानी तातो पानी खानु पर्ने
म त ज्वरोले पुरै लथलथ भइसकेको छ
म त्यस्तो भएछ रातभरि खोक्दा खोक्दा छाती दुखी
काठमाडौँबाट यात्रा सुरु गरेको लगभग 1.5 हप्ता जति भइसकेको छ र यो 1.5 हप्तामा एकदमै टु बी अनेस्ट यो चाहिँ अहिलेसम्मकै मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट प्रोजेक्ट जस्तो रहेको छ किनकि एउटा स्कुल पुग्नलाई नै हामीलाई 4 दिन मिनिमम पनि लागेको छ हैन अनि प्लस इट्स रेनी सिजन अनि पानी एकदम परिरहेको छ more than 36 hours बसमा त्यसपछि फेरि जिपमा हैन अनि more than 7 or 8 hours पानीमा चाहिँ हामी हिँड्नु परेको थियो हामी तीनैजनाको अवस्था एकदम अहिले नाजुक जस्तै छ हामी एकदम बिरामी छौं खोकी लागिरहेको छ सो स्कुलको ट्रिप
We completed phase 2 but had no idea how to continue with the rest of the 5 schools. We lacked energy and support to go on any further. That is why we decided to postpone the rest of the school projects.
So yeah, that is it.
My father went abroad to work to pay off our debts. My mother started working a low-paying community job as a teacher that paid less than 1,200 rupees per month. The situation was tough for us and it was reflected in our daily meals, which would contain rice mixed with salt and water as soup. Some days we'd feel lucky if our landlord shared some lettuce with us. One day there was more water than rice in the meal when I asked my mother if we're having some rice with the soup. She could not hold her tears back. That night she could not sleep. The following day she left her job early to pick me up from school. On our way back home she found me picking up a piece of bread lying on the road. That scenario broke her heart. She considered herself a failure and was unable to bear the pain of seeing her own child under such circumstances. That was the moment when she decided to get us out of poverty.
My father used to take care of all the household chores while my mother was working as a carpet weaver. Due to her overworking and a lack of nutritious food, she suffered an eye cataract. She was almost completely blind and could not even go to her job. My father then started taking care of me, my sisters and my mother while shuffling between jobs as a construction laborer and shoe salesman. After 5 months of care from my father and us, my mother started feeling better and her eyesight returned to normal. During her months of recovery, she did a lot of thinking. Determined to turn life around for her family, as soon as she got well, she went back to work and sent my father away to complete his education. My father got a degree and started working as a trekking porter. With their joint earnings, my parents were able to send me and my sisters to a better school. Soon after, my father continued his education even further, which helped him to become a senior trekking guide. Thanks to the hard work of my parents, life for me and my family took a turn for the better.
Apart from teaching at the community school, my mother started giving private tuition classes. At 4 a.m., she would leave the house with me and my sister still asleep in a locked room. After 2 shifts at 7 a.m., my mother would be back to wake us up. She would quickly prepare our school lunch before leaving the house again to teach daytime school. We would see her next at 5 p.m. in our bedroom where about 8 children waited for her tuition classes. At 7 p.m., she would leave the house yet again to teach her final class of the day. She would be back home at 8 to cook us dinner. That sums up the majority of my childhood. After a few years, she started a receptionist job at a consultancy. She learned all there was to learn about the trade, and when my father came back, clearing all our debts, they started their own business. After years of hard work and learning the importance of education, they were able to send me to a reputable college where I would finally realize my dream of becoming an IT engineer.
एसेको किताब एक ठाउँमा नेपाली कथाहरुको किताब एक ठाउँमा ठीक छ अनि त्यो किताब लिएर हामी कहाँ राख्छौं भित्र सेल्फमा राख्छौं ठ्याक्क डिभाइड त्यो लेखेर नेपाली निबन्ध
It had been a few months since we stopped our projects, but the reminiscing of our childhoods motivated us to continue. Now that we had come this far, we were not quitting. Turns out we got that from our parents.
So काम भइरहेछ Action!
We called in volunteers once again and asked our friends abroad for donations. We worked harder than ever on our IT company. We did nationwide fundraisers, organized documentary shows, art exhibitions, and gave all our efforts that we could physically put in for a final push.
We wanted to help the villages and everything came together like pieces of a puzzle. Soon enough, we were at the schools again, carrying books, distributing stationery, setting up computers and doing what we were meant to be doing.
यो अब एउटा बाना चाहिँ एउटा छैन लिनुहोस् यतिकै लानु बान्नु
This time, our project was getting bigger and better with science labs, school uniforms and a trophy in store for us. Mount Api in the Himalaya.
अहिले चाहिँ हामी रूपा तलामा छौँ रूपा तलाको प्रिन्सिपलको घरमा चाहिँ अहिले हामी यो चाहिँ हाम्रो बेडरुम भयो यो चाहिँ मेरो बेडरुम भयो त्यो जास्परजी र शेरमानजीको बेडरुम भयो एकदम कम्फी छ हाम्रो सहर हेरिकन एकदम फरक छ अब भोलिको प्रोजेक्टको लागि हामी फुल अन तयारीमा छौँ
सो हामी के गर्दैछौँ भोलि
भोलि हामीहरूको नयाँ भोलि लगभग हामी बिहान 7 बजेदेखि स्टार्ट गर्छौँ प्रोजेक्ट हाम्रो कम्प्युटर ल्याब हुने नै भयो लाइब्रेरी पनि हुने नै भयो योपालिको नयाँ हामीहरूको अर्को एक्टिभिटिज चाहिँ के एड भएको छ भन्दा साइन्स ल्याब हुँदैछ सो हामी एकदमै एक्साइटेड छौँ फर्स्ट टाइम हो हाम्रो साइन्सको इन्स्ट्रुमेन्टहरू चाहिँ लिएर आएको छ हामीले
म चाहिँ टेलिस्कोप खोलेर माइक्रोस्कोप खोलेर कति बेला चलाउँ भइसकेको छ फेरि पनि अफिसमा प्याक गर्ने बेला पनि एकलोट गरेर हामीलाई कति बिहान त्यो 11-12 बजेदेखि गर्न थाले त्यो 5 बजेसम्म त्यो माइक्रोस्कोपको सबै स्लाइड्सहरू हेरेर बसिसक्यौँ अनि मलाई फेरि त्यही गर्न मन छ
राति रुमाल सधैँ टल्किन्छ अपि हिमाल मेरो दिल बस्यो राति.
If we could go back and change our childhoods, I don't think we would. Because the life we lived turned us into who we are today. If not for that, Jasper and I would not have met. We would not have embarked upon this journey of education, and this documentary would not have existed.
In the beginning, we only thought of ourselves as the ones helping the children. But as it turns out, they were the ones helping us. From becoming activists to entrepreneurs and filmmakers, our children gave us a purpose in life, and that purpose has been our driving force ever since.
It might not be easy for someone to measure the impact of what we have done so far. A pencil wears out in a week, a notebook doesn't last forever, computers become obsolete. But the knowledge they bring could help a child attain a quality of life that might not have been possible without them. We too are the living examples of what a pencil and a notebook can do.
After 1 year, we achieved what we set out to do, but it was just the beginning.
From here, we look to the future with increased ambitions. And guess what? We see another village and more children waiting for us.
We see a chance to do it all over again and embark upon yet another journey across the Himalaya.
I'm here in wonderful Nepal, and we are with Jasper, Rashmita, and Sherman. We met them through One Youth, and basically we watched Jasper and Rashmita's documentary last year in the International Youth Media Summit last year in Australia. And when we saw the documentary that Jasper did, it was incredible and it really inspired me to want to get involved.
When you told me that the kids just carried all their supplies up the mountain just in their hands before we came.
And now each child has a backpack and they can carry their things in them and they can carry it with pride. And all because of the inspiration of Jasper and Rashmita.
They can have a lot more, they can carry a lot more books now. They can't.
जीवन चाहिँ नै यहीँनिर जन्मियो यहीँनिर मर्यो यहीँनिर सड्यो गर्यो कलिकता जीवन चाहिँ गुणस्तर चाहिँ नै तपाईको शिक्षा नभएपछि केही छैन सर मेरो आफ्नो आकलन है
रश्मिताजी जास्परजीले चाहिँ आफ्नो आइटी कम्पनीमा यति धेरै मेहनत गर्नुहुन्छ भन्छ नि रात दिन भनेर मेहनत गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसपछि यो सोशल वर्क लागि यो वन युथको लागि चाहिँ त्यसरी नै हुन्छ नि खट्नुहुन्छ कसरी सक्नुहुन्छ मलाई त अचम्म लाग्छ हैन त्यहाँ जति पनि हुन्छ नि सामग्रीहरू उठाउनुहुन्छ विद्यालयको लागि त्यो एकदमै प्रशंसनीय काम छ तपाईहरु जति पनि स्कुलहरुमा जानुभएको छ अहिलेसम्म 4500-5000 जना जति पनि स्टुडेन्टहरुको माझ पुग्नु भएको छ तिनीहरु सबैको तपाईहरु एउटा उत्प्रेरणा हुनुहुन्छ